So in my last video about the counter UAV Scorestreak variants, I had quite a few comments in regard to the Epic version, the Nova. Now if you weren't aware, I actually read every single comment I receive on my videos. I also try to reply to most of the ones that warrant a response. With that said, there were quite a few good comments that I wasn't sure the answers to. So for those of you who may have missed my review, the counter UAV Nova is more or less this game's version of the EMP. The drawback is, it's not instantaneous. It has a 3.5 second charge up time before it destroys score streaks or equipment. The scrambling effect of the minimap, however, is instant. So in order to answer some of these questions, I figured I'd do a Mythbusters-like episode. The first comment comes from Neverduffed. He states, the Nova reveals active camo users. It's really OP. So let's put this definitive comment to the test. The description of the Nova counter UAV states nothing about affecting the rig suits or the payloads. So this would be a nice hidden benefit if it's true. Remember, the EMP effect doesn't happen until 3.5 seconds after the streak is called in, and it's represented by a blue static shock. Watch here as my testing buddy, FourStar Commander, calls in the Nova. You can see I'm clearly in active camo when the shock hits, and yet I remain in active camo. So this myth is definitely busted. The Nova does not reveal active camo users. Now just for fun, I tried to test phase shift as well. You can clearly see him enter phase shift here, and then the blue shock strikes, but he remains shifted. Oddly enough though, from your own perspective, the shock actually brings the color back to your screen. What I mean by this is that when you phase shift, you're in another dimension, and thus the screen is a whiter color. But when that EMP strikes, your color returns, yet you still remain in phase shift. Overall though, the Nova has no effect on rig payloads. The next comment is another definitive statement. Bobby Band says, you forgot the counter UAV makes them not able to use personal radars. So the water boy Bobby Boucher over here states that the counter UAV will not allow you to use your personal radar. He didn't specifically state the Nova, but we'll test it regardless. As you can see, I can clearly call in the personal radar once the Nova is initiated. Furthermore, you can see the EMP effect does not remove the radar, and it still persists after the shock as well. So this is definitely busted. The next question comes from the dankest pepperoni. He wants to know if an enemy calls in a Nova and then you call in a Nova, will the second one be destroyed? So I tried testing to see if we could call in the Nova at identical times, but we couldn't quite get the timing down. So when there's a Nova already in the air and you try to call one in yourself, it'll definitely let you. So yes, a Nova will destroy an already active Nova. The next question is from Finger Licking Good. He wants to know if Hardwired counters any of these. So the Hardwired perk's description clearly states it counters the counter UAV. But what does it do against the Nova? In this clip here, my enemy has the Hardwired perk equipped. I then have him call in the Thor to see if my Nova will still take it out. And as you can see, the Thor definitely is taken out when the EMP effect strikes, despite the owner who called it in having the Hardwired perk equipped. So in that regard, Hardwired does not counter the Nova. However, with that said, watch here as I run the Hardwired perk myself. I call in my Nova and then the enemy calls in his. And as mentioned earlier, mine gets destroyed despite me running the Hardwired perk. But if you notice, my minimap is no longer scrambled. So in this regard, Hardwired does counter the Nova. So the overall answer to this question is plausible. Hardwired counters the scrambling effect, but not the EMP effect of the Nova. Now lastly, Sonic689 wants to know if the Nova would stop a Deatomizer strike. So as you can see, the Deatomizer is called in and I await the arrival of the massive Olympus Mons ship. I then call in my Nova and the blue static from the EMP strikes, but unfortunately there's no effect. The Deatomizer strike is simply too powerful, even overcoming the EMP of the Nova. So those were the comments and questions that I felt warranted actual testing. Now if you like this video and you want to see more testing like it, feel free to ask me some more Mythbuster-like questions in the comments. If there's enough to do another video on a few of them, I'll gladly do it. The questions can be about anything in the game, not necessarily just the Scorestreak variants. I'm always eager to test new things and share it with my amazing community.